Dear Brandon and Calvin for sure, and Luke and Marshall, for sure but a lesser degree. This is about how to be yourself. Do you remember the videos I watched that you all noticed the man pronounced the word again like again? That's what you guys, as kids, identified those videos of a man talking to a crowd of folks. That video was titled John Bradshaw, on the Family. He was describing to the audience what is taught to psychologists and psychiatrists and making it publicly known, so that these professionals would not hold all that information close to their chests and keep you in the dark about it. Here is a key part of what he said that applies to you Brandon vigorously, and Calvin a whole lot too, and Luke and Marshall less, but the point is the same. He describes how he was parentalized, his parents used him to make the family look good, because it was a very screwed up family, and he realized that instead of being himself, he was playing a role that had been set up for him, by the family, to make the family look good, and thus he never got to be himself. His midlife crisis caused him to stop trying to be a priest, who did it better than anyone else, that made the family look good, and to be himself, and he had to detach from all the family role that had been set up for him to play, to make his family look good. His point is that when the family sets up these roles for you to play, and being a kid who loves his family, we, you, I, others, want to play that role for mommy, who sets us up to play these roles, we cannot identify with our true selves. And this screws up our path in life, and our thinking and direction, but it protects the family, and that's what they want you to do, to make them look good while you squander your true self pandering to them, in this role mommy sets you up to play, in order to give her a warm fuzzy and toe the line, she set you up to play. In John's case, his dad parentalized him, required him to be his dad's parent, and so did his screwed up mommy. They used him to make them look good because they were royally screwed up. And he had a great brain and did make them look good for decades, but it was all a house of cards and was not allowing him to be himself. Here is what he said: I sobered up first and brought my dad into the Alcoholics Anonymous program to get him sobered up, and I was my mother's surrogate husband. I was also my father's father, meaning, he parentalized me, he used me as his parent, instead of being a grown-up himself. They used to call him a block off the old chip. So I grew up being my father's parent. That is abusive. In brackets, Brandon, that happened to you and your brothers, your mommy used you like this, as a surrogate husband. End brackets, anytime children come out of systems like that they're getting into abuse. The material that I'll be presenting you tonight and in the next 9 sessions is not about blame. There is no advantage in blaming parents, there is advantage in seeing what happened. This knowledge is known by all the therapists as we deal with diseased people to try to get people factual data about what happened to them. Why? Because if you don't know the roles you were set up by your family to play, you can't get out of that role and be yourself. You've got to know what roles you're in because these roles function unconsciously, your whole life, until you see the role you were set up to play. That if you don't understand what your role was, consciously or unconsciously, set up to play for mommy, you can't ever stop long enough get the awareness to embrace the feelings and be willing to give up that role in order to become yourself. And that's the issue here of the lost self. Begin brackets for Carl interjection. If we had a needy mother who used us to gratify herself, who manipulated the energy around us to be who mommy needed us to be. End brackets, if we don't understand how we get set up in these family systems, we never get the awareness to be ourself. That every one of us, the context of our life began in the family where we were raised to play a role for mommy or daddy. This is soft determinism. Soft determinism means we, you and I, are not half as free as we think we are. We are being run by the permissions mommy gives us or denies us. From our unconscious. But it doesn't mean it can't be remedied. Begin brackets, it can be remedied, Brandon, by seeing the role mommy set us up to play. End brackets, it can be remedied, I'm living proof that it can be remedied. There may be some people who don't care for me who will argue with that at times, but I am living proof that it can be remedied. I am living proof that you can change some of these roles. And a lot of people are living proof that you can change these roles and you can embrace your reality and you can become the person you were meant to be, and that's what life's all about, being the person you were meant to be. Now not only is this a threat to the individual if you don't know this, it is a threat to the whole society. Point one of the people in the family will become a hero. He will be captain of football team, president of high school class, and this person will give the family dignity and they'll say, well, our daughter is going to Yale and our son won a scholarship to Duke. Or he's an all-state football player, or our son is going to be a priest. I was an alcoholic at age 13. By the time I was 20 when I went to Canada to be a priest, I had been the scapegoat of the family, but now, I was going to be the hero. Because to a good Catholic family for a boy to go be a priest, that's being a hero. It was my way out of being the scapegoat. And I thought it was my way out of a lot offered in pain. But that's not true. It was only a way to put on a Roman Catholic collar and have a new identity to the outside world, that I was going to be somebody who was a hero for a new outside identity, but all that hurt and pain was still unresolved. If you are the family hero, you're very successful, you're a high achiever, but you probably don't have any feelings about it. What I found in my life is that I kept being successful. I was valedictorian and I did this and I did that, and they'd say, wonderful, you did this. I said oh yeah and felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing. Because it's a role you're playing to keep the family together, and you see, family hero has got to finally start living for himself or herself. Point one of the things we know is that you will stay loyal to these systems, by default. So it's an incredible thing to realize that here I am, and a whole lot of my life that I thought was free, and that I was making a decision on my own, that may not be my life at all, that it may be the life I was set up to play as a role, for the family, begin brackets, or for mommy's trajectory to gratify her. End brackets. And you see, until we go back into that original situation where that little child, that little free-spirited child got lost, begin brackets, because he was manipulated to play a role for mommy. End brackets. We may not know who we are, we may be an actor performance. What I got in my life at 40 years old is that I've been a performance all my life, that I've been a helper. I've been an achiever. I had become a human doing and not a human being, that everything was external. Everything was about how I made the family look. Brandon, John Bradshaw, while a recovered alcoholic, can run circles around Sean Burrow, regarding understanding this stuff.